Hello, hello, hello.
All right, everybody, welcome to our seminar for July. Look at this turnout for July. That's not bad. I figured everybody would be staying in their air-conditioned houses and watching us on Zoom. My name is Cindy Cummings, and I'm one of the founders of LT Senior Services. We are a nonprofit, and our goal is to help older adults in the Lake Travis School District by providing educational events such as this, the Aging Well Expo and a Shred Day that's going to be coming up. So welcome, everybody. We're happy to have you. LT Senior Services is a nonprofit. We have about 35 members, if you can believe that. And some of the members are here today, and we're going to have them be introduced. They're going to come stand right here so they can be seen in this. This is called an owl, and we have a whole bunch of people on Zoom. Do you know how many people on Zoom? Just going to take a gander. We have 13. We have people from all over the United States that watch these, so it's pretty cool. So they have to get up early. Some of them are like in Palm Springs. Like, oh. So anyway, some of our members are here today. Our first is the library. This is Karen, and she's going to talk a little bit about the library and their services.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, that got the applause. Okay.
I'll tell you a few things. Over the summer, we have live music every Friday. So we're about halfway through summer now, but every Friday and live, 3 o'clock, we have live music here, all local artists, local musicians. We also offer tech help Monday through Thursday from 12 to 2. We can meet one-on-one with a retired tech professional. Got a fan here. They're really great. You can ask them about your phone, your computer, library resource or not, anything you want. And I'll also mention our home delivery service. So you're here, you might not need it. Maybe you know somebody who does. We will do monthly delivery to anybody who lives within our district once a month. Anything that they can want from the library, we'll drop it off, we'll pick it up. We'll go from there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we have another guest. This is somebody who has not been to our event before, but we're so happy to have her. And she is from WellMed, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about WellMed Lakeway.
Hi guys, I'm Amber McGuire from WellMed. Our clinic is right down the street. We have our illustrious Dr. Pirtle there, and our main concern is primary care for Medicare age patients. We want to make sure you have a complete care, and we want to keep you staying active and young and healthy as long as you possibly can. And in those events where you do end up at the hospital, we keep tabs on you and we make sure you get your medicine, you get your follow-up checkup. So we're really here to keep you guys happy and healthy and fit and strong as long as we can. So Dr. Pirtle, right down the street.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Bobby, you want to come up here and say hey? I see one of our members sitting down. You better come up and get in line. Come up here, we're going to introduce you.
Be shy.
And put that real close to your mouth.
Okay.
And stand over by me. Aw, see, smile at the owl.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bobby Scruggs, and I own First Light Home Care of Austin, and we are a non-medical home care agency, and we take care of people who have disabilities, people who are aging in place. We take care of busy families, our veterans, as well as those who are primary caregivers who just need a break. So we do respite care as well. So some people are nodding their head, that may be you. But we operate in Travis and Williamson counties primarily, but we're kind of all over the place. And yeah, if you have any questions about what we do, be glad to help you. But the name of our company is First Light Home Care of Austin. Thank you.
And he lives out this away, so he's a local.
I do.
All right.
You work in my family.
Julie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Latson. I work with CareFor, and we're hosting the presentation today with Tracy King. She's one of our senior care managers. By a show of hands, how many of y'all have ever worked with a project manager on a home renovation project for your house? You've hired somebody, they manage the folks that are helping. So that's very similar to what CareFor does. We are a private care management firm, meaning you would get assigned a care manager, either a nurse or a licensed medical social worker, and they would work with you and your family to make sure that all the pieces of our healthcare system are fitting together and working for you. We can also serve as medical power of attorney if you have a spouse, but no one to serve as secondary, or if you're a solo ager. And then we also have a medical and non-medical private in-home care agency as well, so private caregiving services.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Okay, Whitney.
Good morning. Whitney Myers. I am a personal historian specializing in legacy and tribute films. So families or individuals hire us to interview themselves or their loved ones, and we make a mini movie featuring the stories of life. A lot of people ask me how I got started in this work. It's a long story for another time. But one of the things I have always loved biographies, memoirs. I love biography shows on TV and politicians, presidents, celebrities. And I love hearing their stories, how they got to where they are, what drives them, what matters to them. And I wanted to bring this to more people. So I studied oral history and life review, and I know a thing or two about filmmaking and help bring this to individuals and families in the Austin and surrounding areas. So Whitney Myers, Sacred Stories. My website is sacredstoriesfilms.com.
Thank you, Whitney. All right, Scott.
It's probably time to get on with the show. I'm Scott Gidley, long-term resident of Lakeway. My wife and I and adult daughters have lived there for over 30 years. I'm a financial services executive. I'm a wealth manager, do retirement planning, but I also advise as an independent agent in Medicare. So I'll have a seminar here in November talking about what's new in 2025. I'm available 24/7 to answer any questions you might have about Medicare insurance planning. Thanks.
All right. I'm going to talk just a little bit more about LT Senior Services. We do have a shred day. It is coming up on September 17th. It is held over at Barker Keith's Aquatic Center. You just drive through, we take your, you can load all your boxes, we'll unload the boxes and they get shredded. We are looking for, I knew that was gonna happen, donations for that. Our Aging Well Expo is going to be on September 24th. It starts at 10 a.m. We have coffee and tacos at 9:45, but don't come earlier. Got in trouble last year. So the Aging Well Expo, we've kind of changed the format a little bit. We think it's going to be great. We'll have about 25 exhibitors. It's all about aging well and how you can age well. So we're looking forward to that. Our big project this year is the emergency information for older adults. So we've been doing emergency bags. We have run out of money. We got money from HEB. We've had some other really great sponsors. But we're looking for more money. If you know anybody who wants to give us about $15,000, that's how much it's going to cost to get 200 bags. We'd like to have the bags for the Aging Well Expo. We've already applied to some places and we're waiting to hear back, fingers crossed. Our next seminar is August 13th and the title is Decluttering Your Home. This is a favorite seminar that we have. Sahabi Bassi of Declutter B and Jamie Steele of Tidy Your Time will be presenting. So we have some different presenters. I think it'll be really interesting. So now the introduction of our speaker. I have 2 mics. Leave that one. Oh dear. That childhood fear of the librarian getting mad at you. You've been yelling out. I don't think you can you hear me? Okay, good. Oh boy, am I gonna have to go sit in a corner? Okay, super excited for our seminar today. It's Living with Alzheimer's Disease and Dementia. Knowledge is power. So Tracy King is the Senior Care Manager at CareFor. She's a registered nurse, social worker, certified case manager, and private professional guardian with over 20 years of experience in care management, currently serving as Senior Care Manager at CareFor. Her extensive background includes specialized expertise in brain injury, hospice care, dementia, and aging in place, providing compassionate and comprehensive support to patients and their families. Tracy is currently furthering her education at Texas State University in a graduate program focused on dementia and aging. How many people are in that program?
I don't know, it's all online.
Oh, it's all online. I just wondered, wow, I mean, it sounds like a new program.
It's been here for a while.
Has it? Okay. Her dedication to advancing her knowledge of skills and underscores her commitment to delivering the highest quality of care in these critical areas. Tracy holds a bachelor's degree in social work from the University of North Texas and a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from Texas Tech Health Science Center. She has lived in Austin for 33 years and has 2 adult children, Lily 25 and Levi 23. Without further ado, our speaker, Tracy.
Good morning, everybody.
And then they're really close to them.
Okay, there's some stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
I have notes to refer to in case I get behind, so thank you. Mine is not advancing. There it is. So Cindy told you a lot about me. Just a little bit about the program that I'm in for dementia and aging. It is a little bit different. It's in the sociology department, and I like that because it's giving me a different perspective of dementia. Instead of the medical model, it is more of a social model. So you'll see that difference in the presentation that I'm giving to you today. Did someone have a question? I'm sorry. All right. Well, just a little bit about the difference. So dementia is not a disease. Dementia is a condition, a syndrome of multiple symptoms that affect a person's ability to think, to remember, to perform tasks of independent living or their daily living independently. There are approximately 100 different diseases that can cause dementia, and it just so happens that Alzheimer's is the #1 cause of dementia. And to tell you a little bit, the quote up here is actually from one of the professors in my program, and I really like this. It helps us realize that we don't have to look at dementia as total loss, and we associate it with decline and death. What I'm learning and what I prefer to look at and what I hope to show you all is that you can live and thrive even despite having dementia. If we can look at it as a shift in the way we experience the world. So this slide is just an example of 10 different diseases that cause dementia. I'm not going to talk about all of these. We're going to focus on Alzheimer's, but I like this because people don't realize necessarily that so many different things can make us have dementia-like symptoms. So this is just to kind of help us visualize this a little bit. So if you start having symptoms, and we'll talk about what those look like, but when you have a concern about yourself or someone you love, someone in your family, and you go to your physician, one of the first things that they are going to do is do some testing to determine if this truly is dementia, because there are things that can mimic dementia that are potentially reversible. Things like polypharmacy, and that is just having multiple medications as we age. Frequently we're taking more and more medications. Those can interact with one another in a way that can create negative side effects that could mimic dementia. Metabolic issues, endocrine issues, as well as nutritional issues, which are common as we age, where we get dehydrated and we don't have the same amount of nutrition, the same good nutrition as we need. Another potential one is infections, and I like to use urinary tract infection as the biggest example, because as we age, those present differently than when we were younger. And one of the very first symptoms of a urinary tract infection can be confusion. So it's always important to go to the doctor if we're having some unusual symptoms and see. It could just be something that's easily reversible. So some facts about dementia. We don't know what causes dementia. We know that in the brain, when you look at it, you see all of the amyloid plaques and you see the tangles. You can see these things, but we don't know what causes it. So it's hard to say how to prevent it.
There are some studies that are thinking that, the normal things that you can do to decrease and eliminate systemic inflammation, good diet, exercise, Mediterranean diet, all of these things, we think may help us prevent it, but there's no proof. We don't know for sure. The biggest risk factor is age. So 10% of people over the age of 65 will be diagnosed with Alzheimer's. 47% of people over 85 are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Of the causes of dementia, half of the cases are caused by Alzheimer's disease. So it is typically the one you hear about. Frequently, Alzheimer's is used as an umbrella term, and people think that all dementia is Alzheimer's, and that's not the case. And there can be different differentiations in the way the diseases can present, but it causes more than half of the cases. The earliest age diagnosed, there's a woman, actually she was a patient of Dr. Alzheimer's. She was 28, and he was able to diagnose Alzheimer's with her, and that's kind of how he came up with the disease. This young woman was presenting with symptoms of what they called then senility, and that that was completely associated with older ages. But this woman of 28 was having these same symptoms. So that's how he found the disease of Alzheimer's. Earlier onset is considered if the symptoms are presenting before the person is 65. People who do have an earlier onset tend to progress through the disease quicker. We don't understand why, but that is the case frequently. And most often, the first symptom that people will recognize is difficulty with short-term memory, remembering those recent events. The long-term memory takes quite a bit longer before you see any impacts there. Excuse me. So the question often comes up, if Alzheimer's can't be cured, if I can't prevent it, why do I want to go to my doctor and get a diagnosis? And there are really a lot of different good benefits of getting a diagnosis early. And like I said, one of the best reasons to go in early is that slide that I showed you before, that there could be a reversible cause of the symptoms that's going on. And if that's the case, obviously we would want to reverse it. Beyond that, some of the bigger reasons are the ability to be in control and make decisions for yourself before you're not at a place where you can do that. So working with your family, getting legal paperwork in place, doing all the things that so that you can control the trajectory of how you live your life from there on. Getting diagnosed earlier will help you be able to do that, as well as giving you and loved ones longer to get adjusted and then move on and continue living. Additionally, with the advanced planning that you can do with knowledge, it can help decrease any potential burdens on those around us, which is typically one of the bigger fears people have associated with this disease. They're terrified of becoming a burden. You're not. People with this disease are not a burden, but that is always a fear. I think it's a human nature sort of thing that's the first thing that comes to our mind. And these are, by knowing, you can help prevent some of those sorts of things. There are medications available that help to slow the progression. There isn't anything that stops it, but there are several medications that slow things down. But they're typically only good for people in the earlier stages. So that's another reason you would want to get diagnosed. And there are a lot of clinical trials going on for new drugs that can either slow, and they're also doing trials for drugs that they think may potentially cure the disease. So if that is something that someone would be interested in, then having that knowledge earlier can help them be qualified to participate in those clinical trials. And then just like my presentation says, knowledge is power. It just gives you an opportunity to plan ahead, prevent any financial burdens on yourself, on those around you, and control your destiny for yourself. So some of the very early signs that you'll see are forgetting those recent events, like I said, losing or misplacing things. We all walk into the kitchen and forget why we've gone there. I have found my keys in very odd places before. We all do that. That does not mean that we have dementia or Alzheimer's. It's the more consistent, persistent episodes of that sort of thing, as well as getting lost when walking or driving. And in that instance, we're meaning those places that you go all the time. You always go to the same HEB. You get lost going to the mailbox, those sorts of things. That can be a sign that something's going on, as well as getting lost in your home. I've seen people who get confused, can't remember suddenly where their bathroom is, that sort of thing. A big change you might see is getting lost in conversations, not being able to attend to the conversation and having difficulty coming up with the word. Again, these are things that can happen to people anytime. It's the consistency and the persistence of those things happening frequently that might put us into there's something we want to go get checked out. And the misjudging distances, that's it's more like misjudging where the table is when you're trying to put down your drink or, things like that. Again, your visual perception can change, and so you just might have a little bit of difficulty with those things, or even in driving tasks, you might struggle to see, really judge that distance between you and another object. So there are a lot of rating scales, and I'm going to talk about the one that I'm learning about in the program I'm in that I find much more helpful. But for our purposes, we can talk about mild, moderate, and severe categories of this disease. And frequently in the mild category, people, you and your loved ones may not even realize there's anything going on. We have an ability to compensate that we don't know that we're doing. Our brains will find ways to compensate for some of these lapses. So it's possible you won't be noticed, except perhaps for very, very close friends, family, that sort of thing. The moderate stage of the disease is the longest. That's where we start having more confusion. You might start having a need for a little bit of help, getting around, driving, doing some tasks, things like that. At some point in this stage, the person with the disease may require 24-hour supervision, but that would be a little bit later in the disease process. You might see some mood disturbance. We often hear about the behaviors associated with Alzheimer's or dementia, and I'm going to talk more about that because I don't like the word behaviors. And then in the severe stage, so that's really towards the latter stages of the disease where the person may not be able to get dressed anymore. They may need help being fed. So it's much, much later in the disease, and typically that stage can be fairly short. So I don't know if you can see this really well. Want to explain it. So this is a theoretical diagram that has been developed by doctors Chris Johnson and Roxanne Johnson. With full transparency, Dr. Chris Johnson is one of my professors, and so he gave me permission to use this. And this is kind of where the sociology aspect of what I'm learning comes into play. So with the historical staging that is done with dementia, where we talk about, the FAST score. People may have heard about that. It's very clinical, and it's not very useful. I mean, it doesn't really explain what's going on. It's too linear. And that's not what we see with someone who's experiencing Alzheimer's. What this trip back in time, which is what Dr. Johnson calls it, you can see up here at the top, the 80, the 70, the 60, the 50. These are ages. And what they speculate is that what's actually happening in the mind of someone with Alzheimer's and dementia is they're going in this downward trajectory with these interlocking spirals. So the person with dementia is truly traveling in time. So let me explain that to you a little bit more so that it makes more sense. So the regressions that we can see, cognitive time travel, emotional time travel, social, physical, and functional time travel. This helps us to understand a little bit better why, when we're visiting with someone who has dementia, they know who we are one day. They know I come in and I'm their sister, have it right. And then I visit another time and they think that I'm their mom. And I come back another day and they think that I'm their child. So that is very confusing to loved ones, and it can be very disturbing. But if we can think about what we believe could be happening in their minds, is they travel to a certain time period. They may be 80 years old physically, but on a particular day in their mind, their reality is that they are 20. And if I come in and I tell them I'm their wife, and at 20, they were still in college and not married, and it's going to be very upsetting to them. So, and then shortly after that, they could travel back to a time when they're 40 or they're truly 80. So it goes back and forth. As there earlier in the, show you back over here. No. On the diagram, you can see as the disease itself progresses, the fluctuation in time lessens. So you won't get as many fluctuations. But earlier on in the progression of the disease, there's much more travel, and they're looping a lot more. All right, user error up here. This happens in all areas of function. So even emotionally, a lot of psychologists, different people will say that children tend to be more in touch with their emotions. They're more honest. They're going to tell you exactly what they see. We see that happening with people with dementia or with Alzheimer's as well. Someone we know as being very prim and very proper and not showing outward signs of emotion typically, and suddenly we see this person crying frequently, that can distress us. But in their time travel of an emotional state, they may have gone back to a younger age where crying was felt to be appropriate, or a tantrum was felt to be appropriate. Same thing with social. They're past people, past places. They're going to remember their reality in that moment based on where they believe they are. So that can be negative. It can be positive. If at a certain age somebody experienced some sort of trauma and that happens to be where they are, it can help us to be with them and understand where they're at, because then we can interact with them in a way that can help to calm them, because we know that whatever that trauma was or whatever that celebration was, we can know that and be with them where they are. Same thing with the functional time travel. One day they can button their shirt and one day they can't. It goes back and forth because they're traveling back and forth in time. The difference that we see here is the physical time travel. My little nurse brain, I think I have a theory of why, physically with this disease, you get to a place where chewing, swallowing can become difficult, and so someone may choke. Muscles are weaker, so you see more frequent falling. Those things don't travel the same way. I believe that's because what we're seeing is muscle changes. We're seeing muscle weakening. That can't necessarily change just because of the time travel. So we'll see less of the fluctuation in the physical ability to do walking and things like that. So the way that we can be better care partners, and I use the term care partner intentionally, because we don't want to just be a caregiver. One of the things that's really helpful to people who have dementia is having the ability of reciprocity. It's really hard on us if we feel like we're always the receiver of help and we're never allowed an opportunity to return those favors. So making sure that we're partnering with our friend, our loved one who has dementia, so that they have opportunities to give back is important. Helping them to have ongoing social connections is very important. A lot of times, because of those early signs where people may struggle with language, we see people withdraw and isolate on occasion because they don't feel like they can attend, and they're recognizing that and they want to hide that because they're scared or they're embarrassed. So helping our loved one and our friend continue to have opportunities for social connection is very positive, and helps to continue improving and maintaining cognition. And then thinking of dementia as a disability versus equating it necessarily with dying helps us think of making accommodations that can help people continue to be successful, continue to be engaged. I like to think of it just like someone who is in a wheelchair. We're not going to expect that person to get up the stairs that are in front of them, despite their inability to walk. They can be very independent. They can do many things. They just need some accommodation. And I like to think of dementia the same way. People continue to live and to thrive. We just may need to help with a few accommodations. And those accommodations can change from day to day, but it will help them to be successful and help them continue to live and love and have joy in their lives. And finding purpose. We all need a reason to get up. Our hobbies, our work, our volunteering, whatever we do that fills us. People with dementia continue to need to have a sense of purpose. So it's incumbent upon us to help them maintain that as well. That last slide and this one really kind of go together, but if we travel, if we can be with our loved one, with our friend, where they are in their travel, we can help prevent these stereotypical behaviors that you hear about. It is not, it's not necessarily part of dementia that someone gets aggressive or someone becomes agitated. And what's happening is these people are, when that is occurring, they're trying to tell us something. They're not having the language or the ability perhaps to explain it to us. we can join them in their time travel where they at and embrace their reality, it will help us to help them and figure out what they're trying to tell us. Quite often when someone becomes upset and unable to tell us what it is, they're bored or there's discomfort of some sort, pain. Those are three really big reasons that you see someone with dementia act out. It's not because they're trying to hurt someone or that this is just part of the disease. It's probably because we haven't provided them something or we have approached them in a way that is upsetting and they just can't express that to us. So helping to choose activities that are, that relate to where that person is in their time travel, what kinds of things did they enjoy doing as a child, making sure that we help find activities, purpose that relate to their unique interests. If Aunt Sue never liked bingo, why do we assume that she likes it now? She may have loved it, and that's great. So that would be a great activity for her. But the key is to make sure that we're targeting their true interests and remembering who they are as people. Focusing, like I said, on strengths. Think of dementia as a disability with abilities. Again, with accommodations, people can continue to be independent and do a lot more for a lot longer. One thing that really helps, and I'll talk about this on the next slide too, but making sure that anyone who's coming in your home or in their home to help care for them actually knows them. So putting together a scrapbook, the video from the sacred films would be an awesome way to do that. But making sure that you have a way of letting people know who your friend, who your loved one is at their core so that they can interact with them at that level if they're in respite, if they are in a memory care facility. The staff members need to know them as a human being so that they can help provide those moments of purpose for them. There are apps out there as well, timelines, Aftercloud. These are apps that are being developed that can help transfer that information to people as well. So what is our role as a care partner? Our biggest role is to advocate. We have to advocate for our loved ones. And part of that means we need to make sure that we are in attendance with them at every medical appointment. There is a condition that frequently goes along with dementia, and I'll slaughter the pronunciation, but it's anosognosia. It is a neurological condition that goes along with many difficult mental health diseases and with dementia. And it is where the person truly does not understand, does not know that they have any sort of limitation. And this is we're not going to convince them that they do. So, but what that can do, it can present a challenge when we're wanting to help, when we're wanting to support, and when we're wanting to advocate. So especially early on with Alzheimer's or with other forms of dementia, someone may be very resistant to allowing you or someone to come with them on doctor's appointments, but it still remains very important because their ability to remember the information they're given, their ability to follow the treatment plan that's been given can be impeded by some of these memory loss that they can't recognize that they have. So in instances like that, we can have a relationship with the physicians. We can and get their notes, things like that, so that we can follow up behind the scenes as needed. If our lives prevent us from being able to be that person who can attend the every single time, then it's really important that we have a trusted friend, a trusted loved one, or a professional that attends these appointments. And it's important to help foster independence. Don't just assume that someone needs help, and always ask before we start helping somebody. That in and of itself can prevent some frustration on the part of the person with dementia. Prioritizing safety is really, really important as well. We want to anticipate in the home. Let's remove rugs. Let's remove hazards before a fall happens. Let's, get in place, utensils that aren't too heavy, for the person to carry. Whatever we need to do, let's prioritize some of those things. Let's make these adjustments early in the home so that we don't have a problem. And then I want you to think of yourself as also needing to self-care, de-stress, socialize for yourself, continue having purpose. The adage, you can't pour from an empty cup. If we haven't taken care of ourselves, then we're not going to be able to care for the person when they really, really need help and support. So this may mean you need to ask for people to help you, to come in and provide support so that you can leave and you can have some time for yourself to do the things that you love and that you enjoy. But that's going to make you a better care partner as well. And then educating yourself. So like I said, Alzheimer's is often used as an umbrella term, but there are a lot of websites and associations and things that are specific to specific types of dementia. So, these are just a few agencies and websites, and I'm happy to share these. I think you all have my slides and, happy to make sure that anybody who needs resources has them. And then locally in our area, there are a few different agencies. Alzheimer's of Texas, Central Texas, they provide support groups and education and different things for Alzheimer's, but also for just dementia in general. And Age of Central Texas is a good resource. They have care programs as well as support for care partners and can help link people to additional support. And then the Area Agency on Aging, they help connect anybody over the age of 60 to resources in their community and things. So these are some local places to get education, and it's important that we understand what's going on with our loved ones. So educating yourself, educating your loved one, and having support will be really important. I hope that I've given y'all some information that maybe you didn't know before. I hope it was interesting in some way, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If I don't have the answer, I'm happy to help get you an answer.
So I'm gonna walk around with a microphone as soon as I find it. Oh, good. Does that sound like your keys? As soon as I find my keys, I'll go to the store. So if you have a question, just wave your hand and I'll come to you and you can ask the question directly. And thank you so much. That was great information. I had never really thought about time travel. That seems a little, what do I want to say? A little out there. But then when you think about it, it makes sense because when you do go to a memory care facility, you will see people with baby dolls and
it makes a lot more sense when you know somebody who is experiencing these things. It explains what's happening in their minds so much more than these linear descriptions. Nobody goes through step 1 and step 2, then step 3. You're going back and forth through them, and that's really confusing and can be very disturbing to people, especially when you're not remembered by someone. But I found that if we join them in their reality, wherever they are, then it gives them peace. And it helps us too. We can just enjoy our visit and not worry about trying to convince them of our reality. That's going to cause frustration and anger and perhaps someone lashing out because, you're in their minds, you're challenging their sanity. They know they're 20 years old and you're not going to convince them differently. And so why do we try? Let's just join them in their reality, and enjoy it. Enjoy the journey with them.
Yeah, it's a lot of angst when you hear people say, no, you're 70 and,
Right.
you know, it's just fighting back and forth. It's like,
Yeah.
why are we doing that? It's like a little kid, you know, you're not gonna fight with a little kid. Where would you go if you wanted to have some additional, testing?
Frequently, the first person we go to is our primary care physician. That's often whenever we're having an issue, that's where we're gonna go. But beyond that, you're gonna probably want to see a neurologist or a geriatric psychiatrist. They're going to specialize in the testing and help figure out perhaps which kind of dementia you have, there are some differences between the types of dementia and perhaps how you might go towards treatment and what your expectations should be, you know, those sorts of things. You know, there are a lot of medications that are used, some properly, some improperly, in my opinion. You know, medications for behaviors should never be the first line of treatment. But the neurologists and the psychiatrists are going to be able to help figure out maybe the best plan.
And then once you know what it is that you have, is that something that your company helps with as far as like making a plan? So here we are, year one, you find out you have Lewy body. And so you're living at home, what you might anticipate the next stage would be this. So you need to make arrangements in your home to have this, you know, modifications to the home or caregivers coming in.
Yes, we are able to help with a lot of that planning. We are able to help with the paperwork aspect of things, the advanced care planning. We can help with those things. We can make recommendations, do safety assessment of the home, make recommendation on changes that could help there. And then connecting with the right professionals in the field. If, you know, and just making sure that everything you need is in place and is happening. And, you know, we can be the person who attends those doctor's visits. You know, one of the things I like to tell the families that I work with is to let me be the problem solver so that you can continue being the wife or the husband or the daughter. Because being in that care position can change relationships and can make it challenging. So it's almost like a good cop, bad cop sometimes even. You know, I can be the person who kind of says what must happen.
So what I've seen before is where an older adult knows what they want to do and they want to put a plan into place. But their helicopter children get involved. And you might have children who have different varying, you know, the youngest thinks mom's fine, the eldest thinks, you know, she should go away. And do you help manage those communication and kind of pull everybody together and make sure that their wish is being done?
Yeah, our priority is always going to be on the aging person, the person with the dementia. Where we want to get to know that person, understand what their wishes are, and then our role is going to be to advocate for those. And so we do a lot of education, we do a lot of communication with family out of town, out of state, to try and bridge those gaps. Now, we're not always going to convince everybody and get everybody on the same page, but generally we're pretty successful in making sure that the person in the center, that their wishes are honored. And that's what our priority is always going to be, is advocating for that person in the center.
Well, I asked all my questions, so let me come over here. I'll hand the mic to you and put it real close up to your mouth.
The travel was extremely interesting, but I wondered, how do you find out where your person is in their lifetime? Do you ask them their age? Will they respond to that, or do you just listen to them and try and figure it out?
It's more just listening, letting them be the guide. And sometimes we can ask, you know, kind of little questions, maybe not real super direct, like, well, how old are you today? But, you know, by asking certain questions and knowing our loved one, you know, they can tell us events that are going on at that, you know, in their mind, and that will help us understand where they are. But it's really just being with them and not asking questions like, well, do you remember? Well, that can be really scary because they can't remember. So instead of direct questions like that, you might ask things, you know, what's your favorite holiday? You know, what's the best thing that's happened to you? You know, keep it a little more broad, less direct, and definitely not, you know, challenging what they're remembering. But when they're telling you what they're remembering, that will give you cues as to kind of where they are in their mind. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. We've got a question back here.
Yes, sir.
If they're asking for help in an area that you know they can figure out, if you leave them alone, is it better to challenge them to use their mind and figure it out, or just help them?
Well, my feeling is to usually, if someone's asking for help, there's a reason. And, you know, if I know that they can, button their shirt yesterday, so I assume they can do it today, that I may be pushing them in an area that's just going to cause upset, because depending on where they are on their trajectory, they may truly not be able to, or they may be hurting and unable to manipulate the buttons, or, you know, there may be a reason they're asking for help. I generally, you know, am going to provide the assistance that's needed. I don't know that challenging is going to have the reaction that we want. I think it's actually going to wind up causing more upset.
Is there a personal seminar where you come to a home and talk to the family?
Well, as care managers, that's frequently something, it's not, I wouldn't call it a seminar, but it is definitely something that we're doing as care managers, where we're getting families together. And, you know, sometimes it's just one or two, sometimes it's the entire family, whatever is needed. But certainly, yeah, education is a big part of what we do.
In addition to forgetting some recent events, more recently, I'll experience something and I'll assume that I've experienced it before. For example, I'll go to church and I'll see the service, and it'll be entirely the same as the service I saw previous week. And, or I'll be driving someplace that I commonly go to, and I'll see the same traffic around me that I've seen 2 or 3 or 4 times before, even though the timing is different.
Right.
Where would that stand in?
I'm not sure I can answer that. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a deja vu sort of experience. I haven't necessarily heard of that as being a part of Alzheimer's or dementia, but I'm not real sure. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Anybody else have a question? Thank you. Thank you, Tracy, for your presentation today.
You're welcome.
I'm in a new situation now. My sister has come from Connecticut. She's living at Arbor Terrace. And because the court determined that she could not live alone, that she needed a conservatory. So this is new, and we're just starting with doctor's appointments, and I have an appointment with her with a new primary care. How much with this, I mean, the primary care has to get to know her in many different ways, but how much do we pursue it? Is it, at this point, she's never had a diagnosis. Should we get a diagnosis?
I would say yes, because like I said, it can guide some treatment, and depending on where she is in her disease process, you know, there may be things that could help slow things down. It kind of depends on where it is. At a certain stage, those medications really aren't helpful anymore. But you know, having an idea of what's going on can be helpful, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a whole bunch of testing has to happen. a lot of times they can, based on the symptoms that are being exhibited, it can get a pretty good idea of the disease that may be causing the dementia. I mean, it kind of depends, I guess. It's not a hard and fast answer. But I would definitely speak with the primary care physician. I would get a neurologist or a geropsychiatrist involved just to have that specialist at least weigh in. And then kind of go from there.
It's almost the feeling of how much should you put them through when
Right.
they already obviously have symptoms and,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah, but
Just to further that question, so since Friday is this first appointment, should I, and this is a new doctor to me, my own was not available. Should I try to contact that doctor before we go to the appointment, or just let the doctor work it out?
Yeah, so the question is, should she call ahead to the doctor and kind of give them background, or should she just have them go in and have the doctor just see how she's doing and give his opinion based on that?
I would definitely make sure that the records from the previous physician had been forwarded. That's gonna be helpful. And I do frequently call ahead, especially if I feel like there are going to be things that I need, that I want to make sure are addressed, but I don't want to embarrass or anger or hurt the person I'm with. I'll frequently call ahead and ask to speak with the physician's nurse and let them know what my specific concerns are so that they can let the doctor know ahead of time that these are things that I'm concerned about. You know, this person gets very angry when I say they have dementia or when we talk about that. So that is a concern of mine, but we need to discuss it. So the doctor can manage it a little bit differently if they have that going in.
Thank you, that's very helpful.
We have some questions from Zoom, so let me get to those. See if I can see. Would the speaker be willing to share the slides? We'll send the slides out afterwards to everybody who's registered, so you will get the slides. That's okay, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Can dementia run in families?
Actually, there's not a whole lot that tells us that the genetic component is very, very small. I won't say that there isn't a genetic component at all, but the research that's out there right now shows it as being a lot smaller than we used to think it was.
Are there some diseases that are more family oriented than others?
Things like Huntington's disease, and with Huntington's, you frequently can get dementia. That definitely can run in families. So, but like Alzheimer's, there isn't the strong genetic component that we used to think that there was. So it kind of depends on the disease. Parkinson's, I think, may have a genetic component. So in those instances, that disease that might cause it, but not necessarily with Alzheimer's.
That's good to know. Let's see. What is the average lifespan from diagnosis to death of those with Alzheimer's?
Oh, I really don't know. I wouldn't want to try and give you an average. I've seen all sorts, so I don't know that answer.
And it could be too that people don't get diagnosed at the same time. So your
Exactly.
diagnosis, you could be way into it. And
You could be, and frequently we'll see that, where somebody has really compensated for a very long time. They've been able to continue working and doing all the things. And so they're much farther into the disease itself before they, into Alzheimer's before they are diagnosed. So I don't have that. I apologize.
what have you seen with sports injuries, football players getting their heads hit and?
That is definitely one of the diseases that can cause dementia, that the frequent, I forget now what they call it, but it is one of the out of the 100 diseases that we're finding. It's like Muhammad Ali, all the blows to his head, he developed Parkinson's and developed dementia from that. So definitely causing some disease process there.
I think we answered all our Zoom questions. We've got one more here and then we will wrap it up.
What about diet deficiencies and things like that?
Yeah, there's definitely B12 and thiamine deficiencies and those often will go along with, Wernicke-Korsakoff, which is often caused by, overuse of alcohol. Because that frequently, you get those sorts of nutritional deficits with, alcohol overuse. But it's also can be one of the things that can be perhaps reversible if there's another cause for those nutritional deficiencies. So it's important to look at for sure.
All right, what a great, oh, do you have another question?
I think the person woman there in white had a question before. Did you still have a
I
question?
will now. Yeah, I have a question. My sister, who's 10 years younger, she's in a 3-stage place, but she fell from a ladder, washing the inside of her foyer windows when her house was brand new and broke both of her heels. And I'm just wondering maybe if that has caused a big brain injury and caused it.
So so you're wondering if she has a brain injury now because of that fall?
No, she has Alzheimer's, but
Oh,
when she broke both of her heels in the fall, it was a terrible jar to her brain also.
possibly, you can get the coup contra coup injuries with brain injury where the brain moves back and forth inside the skull and you get, the front and the back, you can get small little petechiae sorts of injuries. So depending on that, if she had surgery and had to undergo anesthesia, a lot of times we'll see a decline from that. Sometimes people can bounce back from that after a time, but if she had surgery, that could contribute as well.
All right. Thank you so much. We just appreciate you coming so much. Everybody give her a big round of applause. Thank you. We'll see you next month. Come and get your house all together and I guess your time and your mind. So decluttering next month. See you next month.
Isn't that wild? Maybe just have to listen, yeah. Starts talking about playing football at Rice, then you can enter because you knew it for debate. Yeah, yeah. But you-
I don't want you to have to run.
Or this thing.
Yeah, I was fine.